Smoke was seen rising over the Gaza skyline near the border with southern Israel on Saturday. It comes as Israel continued attacks across Gaza on Saturday. An overnight strike killed at least 9 people in Maghazi, including women and children, according to staff at Al-Aqsa Martyrs Hospital where they were taken and an Associated Press reporter who saw the bodies. The Gaza's health ministry said Saturday that 48 people had been killed in the past 24 hours by Israeli fire. Meanwhile, Israel said its troops had begun operating in the northern city of Beit Hanoun, citing intelligence that fighters and Hamas infrastructure were in the area. The Israel-Hamas war has killed more than 45,400 Palestinians, over half of them women and children, and wounded more than 108,000 others, according to the health ministry. Its count does not distinguish between civilians and combatants. The fighting was triggered by Hamas' October 7, 2023, attack on southern Israel in which about 1,200 people were killed and 250 taken hostage by Palestinian militants. Around 100 hostages are still being held in Gaza, although only 2/3 are believed to still be alive. Aviation experts said Thursday that Russian air defense fire was likely responsible for the Azerbaijani plane crash the day before that killed 38 people and left all 29 survivors injured. An online video showed holes in the tail section of the plane that crashed Thursday in Kazakhstan. Some aviation experts say the holes seen in the plane's tail section after the crash indicate that it could have come under fire from Russian air defense systems fending off a Ukrainian drone attack. Mark Z of OPS Group, which monitors the world's airspace and airports for risks, said the analysis of the fragments of the crashed plane indicate with a 90 to 99% probability that it was hit by a surface-to-air missile. Yen Matveyev, an independent Russian military expert, noted that the images of the crashed plane's tail showed damage compatible with shrapnel from the Russian Panzer S-1 air defense system. Asked about the claims that the plane had been fired upon by air defense assets, Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov told reporters on Thursday that it would be wrong to make hypotheses before investigators make their verdict. Officials in Kazakhstan and Azerbaijan have similarly avoided comment on a possible cause of the crash, saying it will be up to investigators to determine it.
Lawlessness is taking place in the ranks of the 61st Motorized Regiment of the Russian Armed Forces, which is located in the occupied part of the Kherson region. The partisans from Atesh claim that the occupiers are throwing their soldiers into meat assaults, but even after they refuse to take the bodies of those liquidated. Putin soldiers who survived the meat assault are wondering why the command does not take the bodies of their comrades. At the same time, the Russian armed forces boats often travel from one island to the other. The commanders also refuse to award their subordinates with decorations as they expect medals for themselves from the high command. Against the backdrop of such an attitude of commanders towards their soldiers, cases of sabotage and diversion have become more frequent. Partisans from Atesh once again remind local residents how to damage a watercraft without the enemy noticing. Russia benefits from a significantly larger population than Ukraine. Some of those in the assaults are former prisoners, but Russia is also able to recruit through making one-off payments, sometimes thousands of dollars. And there have been complaints from the Russian side about crippled regiments in which wounded soldiers are forced back into fighting. Western officials say this means Moscow can keep throwing soldiers, even if poorly trained, straight onto the front lines at the same rate they are being killed or wounded. Ukrainian casualties are a closely guarded secret, but the battle has turned into an attritional slog, matching seemingly chaotic Russian attacks against the limited but determined resources and manpower of the Ukrainians. Russian forces have managed to maintain their manpower advantage on key fronts, despite the absence of a new wave of mobilization. This is partly due to the shortage of Ukrainian reserves, some of whom are deployed in the Kursk region. Delayed deliveries of equipment from Western allies has also played a role, with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenski saying that barely 4 of the country's 14 newly trained brigades have been fully equipped so far. In Russia, citizens who criticize government officials are reportedly punished by being sent to the most dangerous frontline positions. Russia is using such punitive deployments as a form of repression while failing to honor its obligations to soldiers. Recent reports indicate that Russian soldiers often do not receive insurance payouts for injuries.